Good day, everybody, from wherever you are in the world. It's yet an exciting time when we can share some inspirations and get going for this week. As we begin our week, I was just thinking about a good title for today's inspiration. And guess what I came up with? I came up with Dancing Without Music. Dancing without music. You see, there are times that I have been in rooms where somebody says, hey, let's dance. And then you find people turning their heads to look for where the source of music is coming from, because they're waiting for the music to go on for them to dance, right? It's a kind of expectation that we're used to in life, right? People are looking towards the radio, towards their computers, towards their headsets, whatever the source of the music. People feel like they need the music to be on in order to dance. I would like to ask you, at least take time this week and see if you can be able to just dance for a few seconds or a few minutes without music in your environment. Just do that experiment, because it's going to go a long way in helping you adapt into a certain way of life that's so critical for you to pounce and leap into that next level. A lot of us have been cultured, we have been trained, we are so positioned to expect certain things to accompany certain things before we act or move. Some people cannot move at night unless the light is on. And yet, it's just a matter of training and sharpening your inner senses to be able to move even when the lights are not on. Because what do you do if there is a national power blackout and there are no lights, there are no flashlights, there's no candles? Do you remain rooted in that position for the hours that you have an outage? I'm sure there are people whose answer is yes, because they just cannot imagine falling, they can't imagine having an accident, and of course we have to take care of our lives. But what am I saying? Is it possible to sharpen your senses, to be able to go also against the grain of what we know or what we feel must be in place for us to take certain actions or to do certain things? Right? This season that we're in, if you're alive in this generation, if you're listening to me right now, it means you're alive. There's so many things inside of you that are still yet to come out, that are still yet to be birthed, that are still yet to be executed, implemented. There's so many inventions that are yet to come forth, innovations that are waiting to happen. And you could be that person that is holding the key to those things. But unless we begin to shift how we think and the things that we think must be in place before we start to move, then there's going to be many people who are not on the dance floor when they need to be on the dance floor dancing, because they're still waiting for the music to come on in order to dance. There are people who are still waiting for them to get certain degrees before they begin to invent and innovate, for them to take up certain jobs, for them to make certain applications. There are people who are still waiting to be qualified so that they can then begin to feel equipped enough to do certain things. There are people who have laid certain processes in place as conditions that they must have and fulfill before they take certain actions. And so for those people, they fall in the category of the music must be playing before you can dance. I'm even going to take this a notch higher by looking at our interpersonal relationships. There's an expectation that is silent, that people have not thought about their actions, but if you observe carefully, you'll find that could even be true for yourself. People feel that in order for you to be kind to somebody, they have to have shown kindness to you first. So unless you're experiencing that, then you find that by default you're not even giving of yourself, because you're waiting for the music to play before you can dance in that relationship. If she has not called or responded, I'm not going to text. If he has not called me by now, then I will not show up. If my mom does not do this, then I can't do this for her. Blackmail, silent blackmail. We may not be voicing these things, but there are already preconditions that have been put out there that we're sending and saying, if this does not happen fast, then I can't do this. So this is something that I want us to look at across all the aspects of our lives. In our workplace, in all the ideas that we're still carrying inside of us, inside of our minds, we're carrying it inside of us, they're yet to be birthed. And you're setting preconditions and saying, unless this has been switched on, then I cannot move. Unless I can see this with my own eyes, then I can't act. You see, I've seen people, when I look at one of my favorite stories, okay, I have a lot of favorite stories in the Bible, lots. But if I look at one that looks so crazy, one of Noah, if you've ever heard of Noah, this was a man in the Bible who was instructed by God to build an ark. Before Noah's day, there had never been rain that was coming down from the heavens. Water came out from under the ground. So imagine he gets an instruction from God to build an ark. And because rain was going to pour from the heavens. Imagine how crazy that looks like. Imagine how he looked crazy, sounded crazy, and how people found him crazy. When he tells people, I am building this thing, and every day he's building. Okay? Every day he's building. And every day people are passing by and saying, Noah, what are you building? I'm building an ark because rain will fall one day soon. We don't know what soon was. Was it a month? Was it a year? Was it 10 years? We don't know. But it was coming soon. And he had to build this big ark to put all the animals, all the humans, and close it off, and rain would come. It sounded crazy, right? But what are we looking at? We're looking at dancing even when there is no music. Most people would wait to see and believe that there is rain in order to build an ark. But it's too late. Sometimes you have to be intuitive enough, discerning enough, inspired enough by that idea that you have inside of you to begin to implement it even when people can't catch it. To begin to execute it even when yourself you don't have the full answer, the full picture of what it looks like. Sometimes you need to act just when you know you need to act at the time that you need to act. Because I've seen many situations when you feel an idea come, you're not so sure it will work, it looks ahead of its time, it looks like it's madness, but just when it is implemented or executed, you find that the need for it appears and you're like, I'm glad I did it when I did it. Because had I delayed, it would not have coincided with the opportunity and the timing of the opportunity. Okay? So a number of times we're going to need to dance even when the music is not on, when we are not sure of all the answers, when we don't even have all the answers, but we're going by what we know we need to do, what we believe we need to do, what we feel convinced to do, what we feel the need exists for. Sometimes you can see and look around you and see there is a need. You can see there is a gap, there's an opportunity, and that opportunity and gap in need is demanding for something that you carry, something that's inside of you, an idea, an inspiration, an instruction, an intuitive initiative that you have inside of you to address that thing. But when you look around you, you look crazy, you look like you're the only one, you look like, people can't see it, they can't catch it. You almost attempted to put it back in the pocket, shelve it, because it's not making sense. It seems to be ahead of its time. There's nothing like it that already exists. You're waiting to see who else is doing this, who else can see this, who else can catch it. There was nobody else building an ark when Noah was building an ark. But when the rain fell, oh wow, thank God. Thank God he had built it when he built it, even when there had not been rain. So look at every dimension of your life. Begin to ask yourself, what am I limiting myself from doing, from acting, from engaging with, from taking up, from relating with, because things don't seem to be adding up around this thing? Because the things that I need to happen fast, or the things that I've dictated must be in place, are not in place yet. And like I said, This week, please take 1 minute, 2 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 seconds, and just dance with no music and see how it feels. You probably will be crazy, but probably you'll create music in your head and move to that tune and to that flow, which is perfectly okay. Because sometimes you have to convince yourself on the inside that this idea is so critical for that need, that gap that exists around me. And you should begin to see it in your mind's eye and make it such a reality that you can touch it as you go ahead to implement it. Don't act only because others are acting or because you can see others are acting. Don't wait to do only that you think will be accepted by others, because perhaps you're that inventor, you're that innovator, you're that person who's been called to bring forth this new idea, that next big thing, this current big thing. You could be that person. You could be the person who has that calling for that apostolic pioneering initiative. Don't wait to have everything figured out. Just move. Just go. Dance even when there's no music. Go ahead and do. Don't flow because you feel like you've caught the flow. Flow because you need to flow. Because you're in tune with what you're feeling is really critical for the transformation of whatever results that you're hoping to have. When you look at the internet, the people who created the internet, they must have been crazy. But who today, nobody can literally live without internet. It is a platform on which we trade, the platform on which we communicate, the platform on which we write to each other, the platform on which we speak with each other all over the world. It's a platform on which we're having calls that are cheap. Internet changed the world forever. But you can imagine the people who were building the internet, they were dancing with no music. There was no platform whatsoever that could ratify their idea, that could give them any assurance that that idea was going anywhere, that could even give them a confirmation that it will be the next thing that the world will never ever do without, until I don't know what that next thing looks like, maybe translocation. But they danced without music until people found the tune to continue the dance. They opened up a whole new reality. What could you be having within yourself that must come out? That you no longer have to be waiting for things to go in place or for things to start, preceding that idea coming forth. What is it that you need to do to break forth from that limitation that's holding you back today? So dancing without music, I think, should be something that continues to resonate in your spirit and in your mind for the rest of your life, so that you can go forth and do that great thing that you were created to do without the limitations of the barriers that stop you from doing it. Do have a lovely week ahead.